Hello everybody, welcome to the Revenants Gaming. This is part 15 of my Final Fantasy 1 and commentary. This is Loghain F. Alright, so in this part, first we're in Onrac, and we're getting two new spells for White Mage. Hilaga, which is basically the strongest group heal spell, and Null Death, which protects us from instant death attacks. I never used that this playthrough, but anyway. Yeah, so in this part, yeah, I just get blind, which is, again, another attack I never actually use, which, you know, blinds a bunch of enemies. Yeah, so Onrac, right. So with Onrac, I don't show how to get to it because I kind of made an error out of frustration. I kind of started recording at a little too late. We'll just say, and so Onrac is actually when you're going through the Waterfall Cavern, which is in the previous part, when you're going up to it, they're on the right side. Instead of going up the stream, you go to the right to the grass area, and that will lead you to Onrac. You cannot fly the airship to the town itself. So yeah, now we're at the Sunken Shrine. And this is a pretty standard dungeon, you know. Yeah, there are multiple floors, multiple alternate routes, and yeah. Oh yeah, so as you can see, I'm equipping the Coral Sword because it helps against aquatic enemies, and this is really the only time I think in this playthrough that I actually use it. Could be wrong, but we'll see. So yeah. Yeah, just going through this dungeon, I don't really show it off much because I spent a lot of time in this dungeon. I had a lot of stuff to cut out with random encounters. Couldn't really keep them in unless they were part of chests. So, yeah, the black magic spell Thundiga is actually very important for this dungeon because you know electricity beats water, you know, that type of thing. So yeah, just keep going. I do eventually take a diversion back, and yeah, and if you're wondering why I cut after the door opens, it's because there's actually nothing in those doors, and I just don't want to waste time. Yeah, so yeah, just getting some money. Right. So yeah, in this dungeon, you're actually going to find, in addition to fighting the Fiend of Water, you're actually going to find a key item which is necessary to get to the next part of the game, like the final dungeon of the Four Fiends. Not the final dungeon period, just of the Four Fiends. So yeah, as you can see, Holy in action, and so is Thundiga, and you know, it works well. Alright, so yeah. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, this dungeon doesn't have really anything unique to it. It's pretty standard. It's kind of like the Earth Cavern, but, you know, where you're just going from point A to point B. I guess you could argue that that the theme is a lot of the enemies are water-based, so that's what sets it apart. And Earth Cavern, if I remember it right, is very much most of the enemies are like undead. So if I remember right, sorry, it's been a while since I've recorded that. So yeah, I mean, this obviously I say that as I'm talking over a part where you're fighting undead enemies, but and just regular non-aquatic enemies. But I'm just talking about the general theme. So yeah. Yeah, and actually, unlike the last part, like, I'm getting ahead of myself, unlike the last dungeon, this boss actually does have a weakness, which we'll get to when we do. Yeah, and yeah, spoiler, it's actually electricity, so, although, yeah, I don't think, if I remember right, I don't actually take full advantage of that in this part, so, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Trying to think how to get about this. So I would basically just, you know, as going through this dungeon, you know, as I said, just do your best to stock up on ethers, which is something I cut out. I cut out a lot of the stuff in the shops. If I remember right, I think I only, in an earlier part, just showed what, you know, the basic items you'll find in item shops. Of course, I show weapons and armor because you know, I just want you to have the best gear possible, so, yeah. Oh yeah, so another thing. So yeah, we're trying to get a more consistent upload schedule. I know as I'm recording this, I said that there would be 3 parts in a week, but you know, work has made things a bit more complicated, and also I'm just in a hurry to just record, you know, to just edit everything down, and just, you know, I'm working at my own pace, basically. You know. But, you know, because this whole playthrough, this is the first commentary I've ever actually recorded. It's not the first game footage I've ever recorded for a commentary. It's just the first time I ever put it to an actual commentary. So, yeah, because I remember I actually at one point, when I was attempting to make a commentary channel, there were 2 different games that I recorded playthroughs for. One was actually an emulator of Pokemon, for a fan hack of Pokemon Fire Red called Fire Red Omega, which is a really good fan hack if you've never actually heard of it. And maybe I'll get into that one day. Oh wow, I have no clue what happened there. So yeah, and the other one was Dragon Age Origins, which I think I've mentioned in a previous part is actually my all-time favorite video game. Yeah, but yeah, although with Dragon Age Origins, with the limits I know about YouTube now, I'm not really sure how I'd handle a playthrough of that game, because I feel like with YouTube's time limits, there would just be a ridiculous number of parts, because, you know, there's so much that you explore in that game, so many conversations with multiple party members, multiple options, you know. Not really sure how I'd do it. And maybe at some point I'll get to that. I'm hoping. Right now, like, my primary focus with the channel is, you know, getting this Final Fantasy 1 commentary over and done with. Not like, because, you know, the next commentaries are going to be a bit harder, because I've said a million times, Final Fantasy 2, especially compared to later installments, is a huge doozy. Like, I think the only Final Fantasy game that I dislike, that I've played, like, I played the first 10 numbered entries anyway. The only Final Fantasy game that I actually really dislike, I have no clue what happened there. The only one that I think dislike more than 2 is probably Final Fantasy VIII, which I'll get into that at some point. It's just a very It's a very divisive game in general. You either love it or hate it, and I lean more towards the hate it crowd. They're just, I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of the story, and also because like the main protagonist of that game is, in my opinion, he's the worst, and that's not exactly breaking new ground. I'm not a fan of Squall, but you know, it's whatever. I also I found the story to be, I don't like the fact that the main focus of the story in Final Fantasy VIII is a romance. I don't like that at all, because Final Fantasy IX is technically, yeah, there's a romance aspect to it, but it's in the background. Like, it's authentic, but it's, you know, it's in the background. So yeah, as you can see, we're going through this floor, and it's mentioned earlier in Onrac that there are a bunch of mermaids imprisoned in the Sunken Shrine, and this is where you find them. They give you hints as to what you're looking for, and about they kind of build up the Kraken, and yeah. So this is the diamond armlet. I'm upgrading the armor of the white mage. I'm upgrading the armor of the white mage. You know, so yeah. So this area is a little more complicated in traversing, because you basically have to loop, as I'll show, you have to loop back to the other, to get to the other side, which I'll show in a moment. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Final Fantasy, now when I eventually probably, at the rate I'm going, it's probably going to take a while when I get to Final Fantasy X. My thing with Final Fantasy X is overall, I think it mechanically, gameplay-wise, probably works better than most of the games. Like from a gameplay perspective, there's just a lot more variety in what you can do. But, you know, the thing that kills it is I just don't... It's just the story's not quite on par with the likes of Final Fantasies 7 and 9. Oh yeah, right. This is the Diamond Shield, which protects you against electrical attacks, and like you're gonna find the Diamond Armor set, which is very handy in this dungeon. So, yeah, as I was saying, so yeah, Final Fantasy X, and it really is a testament how you can have the best gameplay imaginable. You can have the best gameplay imaginable, but you know, it's like. But you know, it's like it can only carry you so far because in an RPG, the thing that keeps you in focus is the story. It's like no other genre of games is the story generally the most important part, which is ultimately the main hiccup of the first three Final Fantasies. Yeah, Diamond Gloves, I said, which is ultimately the main hiccup of the first three Final Fantasy games. Although, I will say, Final Fantasy II, even if it's definitely not the best definitely the worst of the original three. It does try more of a. It does try. It at least tries with the story compared to 1 and 3. I will say. Oh yeah, so as you just saw, that was the Rosetta Stone. That will help us traverse to the next dungeon, which we'll get to in another part, or I think it's the next part. So yeah, Final Fantasy II, mechanically speaking, it sort of fell into and I'll discuss this more in depth in another part. It sort of fell into a trap of a lot of first sequels back in the 2D era, and I mean some sequels in the 3D era of video games have fallen victim to this too. So the thing it suffers from is that it was really an experimental entry, like completely changed the formula, introduced so many things, and later installments would, you know, build upon what it was trying to do, but also they would build upon it, but also refine it to where it functioned much better. You know, but yeah, we'll get to it. I mean, Final Fantasy II, I don't like the game overall, but it did its best. I mean, Final Fantasy 1, I've mentioned, in the earlier parts, I mentioned that I enjoy the game, but I do think it's dated. I mean, Pixel Remastered at the very least, you know, enhances the graphics, and oh yeah, there's a mini game that I don't actually show off in this playthrough that's really not good for anything but an achievement. But like, if you guys want more info, that you can just look up. So yeah, we're getting closer and closer to the boss of this dungeon. I apologize, like, for all the walking in this. I just, you know, it's just, as you can see, we were in this part of the dungeon earlier on. Before I realized, wait, I've missed some pretty important things in this dungeon. I gotta go to the other side. So yeah, as you can see, yep, still cutting out the random encounters, so. Alright, so I guess I should ask in this part, since I'm still just trying to keep the conversation going for copyright reasons. So, since people who are more well-versed in YouTube, I guess I should ask, what do you think is a good pace to upload videos? Should it be multiple a week? Because I'm the only one that is actually contributing videos. Carl is working behind the scenes, and you know, I just want some advice. So, oh yeah, so here we go with the Fiend of Water, aka the Kraken. Now, as I said, this guy is weak to electric powers, but I don't actually take advantage of that in the fight because the fight ends pretty quickly. Oh yeah, so as you can see, I'm using Temper with the Ninja for the Warrior. And I do Protera to protect all party with the White Mage, and Temper on the Ninja, so yeah. Yeah. And as I mentioned in an earlier part, just to remind, Temper raises the attack power of whoever it's casted on. And that is key to a lot of the boss fights in later segments of the game. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just taking advantage of the healing, because the Kraken can hit pretty hard with physical attacks, and really that's all it uses. Yeah. Oh yeah, and haste. This attack I don't think I showcased very well in earlier parts. That increases the number of hits that your attack does, which is functionally the same thing as Temper, but it's just an added buff, and it's pretty key to fights like these. Yeah, I kind of had a moment where I'm like, I kind of had a moment here where I'm like, okay, what exactly do I want to do? I'm out of Hilaga. Yeah, so, yeah. Oh, yeah, I just wanted to cure darkness, yeah. Because, the darkness condition hurts your accuracy, and obviously I don't want that. And again, as you can see, I'm casting haste on the Ninja. So yeah, at this point, yeah, my party is is at full attack power, so yeah. So yeah, looks like this is going to be the final turn. So yeah, as always, I would very much. Alright, so yeah, the Kraken is defeated, the water crystal is restored. So, as always, I would like to thank you all for watching. This is Loghain F. I hope to see y'all in the next part. And yeah. So if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share it around. We really appreciate your patience after our long hiatus. And see you around.